Lacy woke slowly, her head heavy and her thoughts sluggish, as if she hadn't slept so much as crashed. For a few seconds, she just lay there, staring at the ceiling and trying to piece together why she felt so off. Then it hit her. Fragments of a dream flickered through her mind. A terrified woman, a black box, and a sarcastic hologram standing in her living room. She groaned and dragged a hand over her face. That dream was messed up, she muttered. Pushing herself upright, she swung her legs over the side of the bed and stood, the dull ache behind her eyes reminding her she hadn't slept well at all. Coffee. She needed coffee. Still half asleep, she left the small bedroom and shuffled toward the kitchen, running a hand through her hair as she wondered what had triggered the weirdest dream she'd ever had. She'd just reached the living room when something caught her eye and she froze mid-step. Her gaze fell on the coffee table. The black box sat there, and resting on top, the black pendant from her dream. For a long moment, Lacy just stood there, staring. "No," she said quietly. The fog of sleep vanished in an instant. Slowly, cautiously, she stepped to the coffee table, her eyes fixed on the objects as if they might disappear if she blinked. She picked up the pendant, much as she had hours earlier. "Okay," she said under her breath. "So, I'm guessing that wasn't a dream." As before, a flash of rose-pink burst from the pendant. "Hello, Lacy Bennett." Lacy jumped, startled. "Son of a bitch," she muttered as she bent to pick up the necklace. "Good morning to you, too, Dr. Bennett." Lacy stared at the rose-rimmed figure in front of her. "It's a bit early for sarcasm, isn't it?" she replied, once her heart stopped racing. "You are the one who activated me," Miranda pointed out calmly. "How did I do that?" Lacy asked. "I just picked up the necklace." "That's how." "Care to elaborate?" "There isn't much time, Dr. Bennett. You need to begin your move to the Safehouse." Lacy shook her head. "Okay, let's say I agree with all of this. Are you going to be hovering around me the entire time? In fact, how did you disappear overnight?" She thought for a moment. "Wait, I need coffee first." She walked to the kitchen and poured a fresh cup of black coffee, taking a moment to inhale the sharp aroma that never failed to clear her head. Once more able to focus, she turned around and let out an undignified squeak of surprise when she saw Miranda standing in the kitchen doorway. "Were you programmed to give me a heart attack?" she asked grumpily. "No." Lacy waited, but unsurprisingly, there was no other explanation. "Fair enough, okay, so before we get on with it, I just need to know. How are you activated and how do I deactivate you?" "To keep it brief, the pendant is calibrated to your biometric data," Miranda explained. "Your initial contact with the pendant last night established a baseline. Your verbal response completed the activation sequence." Lacy frowned slightly, processing that. "So I basically turned you on by accident." "Yes." "And turning you off?" "You may deactivate me with a direct verbal command." Lacy raised an eyebrow. "Seriously? That's it?" "Not everything needs to be overly complicated," Miranda replied. "I can't argue with that," Lacy shrugged. She'd learned that with her own work. She let out a short breath. "And last night? I'm pretty sure I didn't say anything and just went to bed. In the absence of interaction, I enter a dormant state after a set period of time. Similar to a standard computer system." Lacy stared at her for a moment. "You're comparing yourself to a laptop?" She laughed. "Can you think of a better way to explain it?" Lacy shook her head, still struggling to comprehend this level of personality in an artificial intelligence. "Wait. You said the pendant works off my biodata. How the hell did you?" "Miranda. Dr. Richardson get my biodata?" "Dr. Richardson had access to systems that contained your information," she said. Lacy narrowed her eyes. "That's not an answer." "It is the only one that is relevant at this time," Miranda replied. "Your data was acquired through legitimate channels. The details can be explained later. Right now, you need to prepare to leave. Lacy couldn't understand it, and maybe it was because she really didn't have anything else to lose, but she trusted this strange hologram. Fine. I need to go to the store and give my notice, she said. I'm not on schedule today, so they won't be short-handed. Miranda cocked her head. It is a convenience store, Dr. Bennett. Don't people usually just stop showing up for work when they want to leave? Some do, but I don't work that way. Every job has meaning, and I don't believe in making others pay for my choices. That's quite admirable, Dr. Bennett. Thanks, but please stop with the Dr. Bennett. That's a past life. It's just Lacy. And as for the Safehouse, how am I supposed to get there? I no longer have a car. That is part of what that debit card is for. Lacy, Miranda said. You will need a large vehicle. However, due to the daily spending limit, purchasing one outright is not advisable. Lacy frowned. So what, I just rent something? Yes. A long-term truck rental would be the most efficient option. It's less costly and less likely to draw attention through unusual account activity. Is that something I need to be worried about? Lacy's stomach tightened as she remembered the men trying to kidnap the real Miranda Richardson. A new kind of fear settled in. Yes, Miranda replied. That is why you must move quickly. Lacy rubbed her temples, wondering when her life had turned into a low-rent sci-fi movie. Okay, I need a shower, she stated. Since you compared yourself to a laptop, are you able to find information for me? If not, I'll need to sign into my computer. I can access what you need, Miranda assured her. Great. You know more about where I'm going and what I need than I do, so find a truck rental place reasonably close, she said. And I'd like to know more about this weather situation. I haven't heard anything about severe weather anywhere, so before I just quit the first job I was able to find after losing my company, I want to make sure it's not for nothing. I already have that information. However, I will search for any new reports while you shower. Lacy nodded and headed to the bathroom, hoping a shower would give her the patience to deal with whatever else was coming. Scene 2. Lacy pulled the large box truck to a stop and stared in a mixture of shock, disbelief, and dismay. This can't possibly be the place, she muttered, turning off the engine. In front of her was a dilapidated wooden cabin, the roof half caved in, and beside it stood a large, weather-stained concrete grain silo in only slightly better condition. Lacy shook her head slightly. Yeah. This isn't encouraging. She pulled the earbuds out and wrapped her fingers around the pendant resting against her chest. You can come out now, she said. For a moment, she imagined saying open sesame, or something equally absurd to match the situation she found herself in, and fought a laugh, wondering what the holographic Miranda would think of that. She turned to find Miranda's flickering image sitting quietly in the passenger seat. Is there a problem? Miranda asked. Lacy gestured to the view outside the windshield. I'd say. We're in the freaking middle of nowhere and I'm staring at buildings that look straight out of a horror movie. Is this a setup? She clung to the anger and suspicion, refusing to give in to the fear creeping in. There's no need to panic, Lacy. Dr. Richardson needed a location that was both isolated and secure while she worked to reverse what has been done. Can you think of a better place than an abandoned silo on a highway forgotten for decades? Lacy slumped in her seat, looking out at the so-called Safehouse with doubt. No, but I'm not sure how buildings that look like a mild breeze could knock them over are an improvement over any other option. As the saying goes, appearances can be deceiving, Miranda replied. Lacy sighed. Maybe. But if she, the real Dr. Richardson, is in danger, why isn't she here now? The hologram flickered, a sign Lacy had grown to accept as the one sign it was thinking. She has final preparations to make first. She is depending on you to make the necessary renovations to ensure this place is prepared. So I get to do all the work while she's off doing whatever? For the most part? Yes. Lacy just looked at the hologram and then laughed. Well, you're honest, I'll give you that. She climbed out of the truck and approached the two buildings. The cabin is useless, she commented, looking at the cracked walls and gaping hole in the roof. Not entirely, Miranda replied vaguely. However, the main base is actually the silo. Lacy forgot the cabin. That? She asked incredulously, gesturing at the enormous concrete building. That is the only silo present, Miranda replied, lifting an eyebrow. Oh my God, you're obnoxious, Lacy muttered, although she couldn't deny being slightly amused. I'm not sure if she did any research on me at all, but I have absolutely no handyman skills at all. What the hell do I know about converting a silo? And how am I supposed to do it by myself? You will have assistance. You just need to go inside. Lacy's hand went to the holster in her coat pocket, feeling the comforting presence of her gun. Fine. Where do we go? The entrance is the back. You'll need to enter a code. Lacy nodded and followed the hologram around the large silo. Her eyes ran over the faded concrete and rusted door, noticing a small panel on the right. So, what code do I use? Miranda recited a number that was only slightly better than 1, 2, 3, 4. Really? That's the code you went with? Lacy asked. Would you have thought of it? Lacy opened her mouth, then closed it. Touché, she finally muttered. The door creaked open, and she walked in, her eyes widening slightly. Whoa, she said quietly. The interior was far larger than it had appeared from the outside, but from Lacy's perspective, that was the only impressive thing about it. The space was barren and run down, but not entirely abandoned. Dust coated nearly every surface, debris littered the concrete floor, and along the curved walls, lengths of exposed wiring and partially assembled wood and metal framing hinted at work left unfinished. Lacy glanced at the hologram. Did Dr. Richardson actually inspect this place before choosing it? Dr. Richardson is not limited to what is, Miranda replied calmly. She sees what could be. I would expect you are capable of the same, given your background. Lacy opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. I can't really argue with that. Still, it looks like she started renovating and gave up. She didn't give up, Miranda explained. Her priorities changed. However, the renovations will be complete in time. How? I'm not a building contractor. With that, Miranda said, nodding to the side. Her gaze shifted, catching a large black metal box sitting in the corner. Its surface was clean and unmarked, completely out of place among the dust and decay. Lacy frowned. What's that? That is your assistant. Lacy knew there was no point in asking for clarification, so she walked over to the box and looked it over. How do I open it? She asked. Use your pendant, Miranda stated calmly. I don't. Lacy didn't finish the thought and clasped the necklace resting against her chest. As before, the pendant grew warm and the pink light flashed. What's happening? She asked as the box began to open. She cautiously stepped closer and her eyes grew wide when she saw the sleek black form inside, a long pink line glowing brightly across its surface. What the hell is that? She gasped.